Hello everybody, Obi-Wan362 here, and I'm typically not one for just general nerd news if I can help it. I mean, obviously in recent memory there have been a few things that have happened in, geek and nerd culture that have caused me to do a video responding to it. Disney buying Star Wars, Wii U shortages.
Bring it on.
I feel like there was something else, but I got nothing off the top of my head. But nevertheless, nothing has made me so annoyed as the reception that the Wii U has got from critics. And I've seen a number of reviews on this, and quite frankly, a lot of them just seem like really poor reviews. And as one person in the comments of one of those reviews said, most of these negative reviews seem to be people looking to get more attention by writing things that are negative. So with that being the case, I wanted to look at what one of these articles actually says and give my opinion on it. Now obviously right now you're watching some video footage from Arkham City. This is Arkham City Armored Edition, specifically for the Nintendo Wii U. So you can see, or you could see if I wasn't constantly in detective mode, that this is really a beautiful game, and it is on all the systems that it's on. The number one complaint that I hear from a lot of people is the fact that the graphics are on par with other systems that are out right now. To that, I respond, so what? Obviously, if you are a purely PC gamer, then one of the big things for you is graphics, in which case you don't care. This is another console that's not quite good enough, so you weren't gonna get it anyway. Fair enough. But for the people who are playing, 360 and PS3, both of which are systems I love, by the way, you see this and you say, well, big deal, we have the same graphics. Some will say better. I mean, it's a point of contention amongst, basically everybody on the internet, whether the graphics are better, the same, or slightly worse. So you're constantly in this fight and all this stuff, and you're like, well, we've had this for 7 years. What's the big deal about the graphics finally being on par with what we already had? Okay, fair question. First off, look at the launch games for the 360 and the PS3. Yes, they were a step up from their previous system, but you look at them and you go, gee, these weren't really much of one though. But you look at games now, as much as I don't like the series, you look at anything from the Call of Duty series, the most recent one that came out, and you compare that to Call of Duty 2, which was a release title for the 360, and you will see this huge gap between the graphics from 2 and the most recent one. And to that I say, if we looked at these systems at launch, and that was the best that the graphics got, then sure, we'd have room to complain. But since there always seems to be this learning curve, transition from here's what we have at launch to here's the better thing that we have towards the end of the system's lifespan, I don't see what the problem is when it's like, okay, so this new system that just came out is on par with systems that have already been out. Why isn't it, infinitely better? Suck it up. Because my other thing is, and I was talking with a friend of mine who is like almost religiously devoted to Sony. He had his PS3, I had my 360 and Wii, and that was cool. We were fine with that. And we were having a conversation one time about the fact that, graphics needed to keep getting better and better and better because we had 8-bit, which looked nothing like real life. They were fun, don't get me wrong, I love 8-bit games. But there was almost this need to push graphics forward because they were holding back what you could do with gaming. Which is true. I mean, look at the games that we have now and try imagining a lot of them with, the crappy old graphics. You could do it, and they would work well, and we'd all love them. But there's almost something about the sense of realism that you get that adds to the gaming experience. And so, as me and my friend were talking, he made the comment, being, a Sony person and loving the extreme graphics on his PS3, graphics have gone as far as they need to in order to not hold back game development anymore. Obviously, they can always get better, they can always get more lifelike, and all this nonsense. But right now, they are at the point where they don't need to. If they stayed here, that would be fine because graphical limitations are no longer holding back gameplay, which I fully agree with. I'm like, I don't need, to be playing Call of Duty and feel like I am literally at war. I feel like that will screw with my mind. If the zombies in my games get any more realistic, that's going to screw with my mind. I don't want that. Obviously, that's not a view that everybody holds. So I am perfectly content with, if some of you are just wanting your next system to be leaps and bounds above as far as graphics go from what these latest systems were, sure. Wii U is not for you, at least not right now, because it has comparable graphics to what's out there. Okay, I can understand that. I don't see that as a reason to hate the system though. But granted, a lot of people have more than just graphics on the mind when they're, talking about why they don't like the Wii U. Quite frankly, I found one specific article from Wired.com that specifically was called 10 Things I Hate About the Wii U. And I was like, hate? That's kind of pushing it. I was really concerned. I was like, what kind of problems did they have if they actually have 10 reasons to hate the Wii U? So having a Wii U, I was like, oh crap, is my system gonna die on me? I mean, what's gonna happen? And so I go and I look at their list of things. And as I read through it, I'm like, this is all kind of bullcrap. Here I have the list with me. The first one is the big firmware update that was required when you first got the system. Now, admittedly, no one wants to spend, an hour updating their system after they first get it. And I can see why that would be something a lot of people wouldn't want. But for one, it was you did it, you were done, you moved on. And it was a long enough period that, okay, you start it up, you start the download process, and you go do something else for a little bit. Assuming you had the internet connection that I had. I have a fairly slow internet connection. It took me about an hour. But it was like, this guy is complaining because it's, a 90-minute, his was a 90-minute update. There are people all through the comments saying how theirs took 20 minutes, okay? So it's, again, I can see why you could really hate having to deal with day one firmware update. Okay, that's annoying. I will grant you that is annoying. It's not a reason to hate the entire system, but I mean, that's only 1 of 10, right? So maybe he's starting with his weakest one. No. Next he's got that the Wii U has a brutally slow operating system. Admittedly, it's a little slow sometimes when you do certain things. AKA, when you go from the middle of your game to opening the Miiverse, which for those of you who don't have a Wii U, the Miiverse, quite honestly, it's almost like Twitter, except for Nintendo gaming console, where you can talk about the games, you can share things, you have a 100 character limit for your posts, and you can even take snapshots from the game and put them with your posts. But nevertheless, like whenever you switch from one application to another, there's a little bit of a wait time. He describes it as an agonizing wait. I'm not sure how impatient everybody in the world is, but with smartphones and tablets and stuff, we can do that almost seamlessly and everything's fine. But really, if you've got to wait like 2 seconds to go from one thing to another and you can't handle that wait, I'm sorry, you need to develop some patience, especially if you're characterizing it as agonizingly long, because it really doesn't take that long. If you can't wait, 2 seconds, and I'm sorry, but work on your patience. Oh, this one was my favorite one. Third was the Netflix app, which admittedly when the system launched, all the streaming video applications and Nintendo TV, they weren't up yet. Which I was like, okay, whatever. I have my games. I'm gonna play games first. I don't care. Netflix, I was a little disappointed in because I was looking forward to, watching my videos on Netflix and all that fun stuff. YouTube, I was looking forward to having the YouTube app up. And Nintendo TV, I was curious to see what they did with it. But I was like, oh, alright, whatever. But he cites the Netflix app as another reason why he hates the system. Mainly because it sounds like he thought things were gonna be the case and he was wrong. So because he was wrong, he hates the system. He's like, when you go, if you're watching a movie or something and you need to go get a drink from the kitchen, you don't have to pause your movie. You can just watch it on the gamepad as you go. He says all this was crap. No, it's not. I have done that several times. I'm like, oh, watching, an episode of Prison Break, and oh, it's dinner time. Should go fix something. I switched the video playing from my TV onto my gamepad, and I walk into the kitchen. Admittedly, when you start going through a couple of walls, it's a little more than the gamepad is designed for, because the gamepad is designed for line of sight with the system. So it's like, I can't complain too much, especially considering it came with my system. He says, you could do the same or better with Xbox and an iPad. I don't have an iPad. I don't want to buy an iPad. I don't want to have to buy an iPad to connect to my Xbox so I can do what I'm doing with my Wii U. He said you can browse through other movies while you're on the gamepad while you're watching something on the television. Okay, I don't remember that being in what was advertised for Netflix, though I agree that would be a great idea for them to do, and I would personally love that. But let's face it, every other Netflix application you have to do that anyway. So suck it up. You were wrong. You shouldn't get to hate the system just because you were wrong about what it does. Anyway, tiny battery in the gamepad. I've had the battery blink on me. I had the battery die on me once since I've had it, and I game for quite a bit. And then this is also an instance where, the dedicated AC adapter for the gamepad is actually really helpful, because instead of, because I mean, me as well as I understand a lot of people, my TV's on one side of my living room, I sit on the other side. And so sometimes that's a really long cord. Like a lot of my old corded controllers, they don't stretch the length of my room. I have to scoot my couch closer, or I have to sit on the floor, bring a chair in, something. But with this, I can just sit on the other side of the room and plug in my gamepad to a wall outlet when I need to. I find that convenient. A lot of people don't. They think it's. I think one person called it archaic. To my response, doesn't archaic kind of require we did that before and it's old?
What happened? Just wake up.
I digress. Anyway, nevertheless,
how are we gonna get out of here, man?
this is where that comes in handy because even as such, you're plugged in right next to you and it's fine. But nevertheless, unless you're gaming for, you know, upwards of around 5 hours or so, the gamepad doesn't die on you. The gamepad has a decent battery life. Now, again, I'm a rather big gamer. I enjoy my games, but I don't have the problem of my gamepad dying hardly if ever. So I'm not sure what other people's problem is, but there's one that he cited, and quite frankly, I don't see it. I don't see it.
You see him?
I've had it blinking on me. I've had it almost die once. And that was because I spent a really long time gaming that day. I don't remember. It was several hours of just sitting down and playing games with friends and all this stuff. And all we had was this panic moment of hurry, quick, plug it in, and we resumed gaming. We didn't care. So, I mean, I don't view the battery thing as a big issue. Would it be nicer if I had a bigger battery? Sure. But come on. Come on, it's not that bad. They complained that Miiverse, which I said was, you know, basically Twitter, but for Nintendo, it's a little strict in what it allows you to post and what you can't post. Admittedly, I ran into this issue where my profile on there says that I'm Obi1362 and to check out my YouTube channel. And it was flagged for inappropriate content. I was like, alright, fine. Well, the thing is, Nintendo wants to keep, because a lot of the people who play Nintendo games and such are children, they do try and keep it a safe environment. And so anything that can lead back to you, they don't want it on there simply because so many things happen where, you know, people say things on the internet and then they can be traced and they can track down. All this awful stuff can happen and has happened. And so Nintendo is just doing its due diligence and trying to prevent that. This person is, again, the writer of this article is complaining because, you know, he had a URL for his website in it, and it got banned because of that. Suck it up! Again, would it be nice? Yes. But at the same time, Nintendo is doing its due diligence to help with what they know are going to be kids who are going to be on the site, and thus are going to be posting things maybe not in their best interest. Such as, you know, find me on here, look for me here, blah 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 blah. So, yes, it's annoying, but again, I don't see it as quite a big enough deal to be like, I hate Nintendo. Just me though. Moving along, because I spent a lot longer talking than I planned on it. Oh, number 6, the content transfer from the old Wii is terrible. Person said it took 30 minutes one way. First off, what? I don't even know what to do. When I went from my old 360 to my new 360, I had to lose all of my data because the data transfer, you had to have special equipment, you had all this nonsense, and I couldn't do it. I didn't have the stuff for it, and so I basically had to replay all my games that I played on my original 360. That's annoying. This, you needed an SD card and a little bit of time. So admittedly, it's a little convoluted, but I don't see, quite frankly, how to make it any better, like this guy was saying it should have been. What you do is you put the SD card in Wii U, it formats it there, you turn on your Wii, you plug it in there, download all of your information onto there, remove the SD card and put it back into your Wii U, where it's all downloaded into there. Where's the problem? And they even give you this cute little animation of Pikmin carrying your data from your Wii to your Wii U. And so I'm like, where's the problem here? Where is it? I don't see it. He's like, it took him 30 minutes one way, and he had to get up to switch the SD cards again. So? Seriously? You're complaining because you had to get up? Really? Like, like, okay, so yours took 30 minutes to download from your Wii onto your SD card, and then 30 minutes to go from the SD card into your Wii U. Like, I don't have that much data, so mine didn't take that long. So, I'm sorry. But then there's all these people in the comments saying, I had, you know, all this ridiculous number of downloaded games and save files and all this nonsense. It took me 20 minutes full circle to do, so I don't know what your problem was. And admittedly, again, it's really not that long. And I don't know how it took him that long to just download that little bit of information. But either way, the content transfer is something that has to happen. I mean, it doesn't have to happen if you don't want your Wii stuff on there. You can just leave it on your Wii. From the sounds of the internet, most people don't use their Wiis anymore. I don't know why, but you people don't. So, what does it matter? And if it does, I mean, it's a better data transfer than a lot of places, because they at least give you a little animation to keep you entertained in the meantime. Okay? So, it's better than other data transfers without requiring you to buy extra equipment like the data transfer cable for an Xbox. Just saying. I'm not better. 7. Playing old Wii games is suboptimal. He gives no reason for this whatsoever. Except for the fact that the Wii U has you open up this entirely different section, and it's actually an app within the Wii U that takes you to the Wii's console, basically. And it's, I don't understand what's suboptimal about that, because it plays just as well as otherwise. So I'm not really sure how that's suboptimal. Like, I've been playing my games. I've been playing, what did I start playing? Pikmin 2. Yeah, so I got Pikmin 2 right at the same time I got my Wii U. Because I had never played it. Been wanting it, played the first one, and I finally picked it up. And so that was the first, you know, Wii game that I played on my Wii U. It looks wonderful, it plays wonderfully. I don't know what the issue is, because it runs just fine. I've seen no problems with it. And I don't really even see a citing in there, except for the fact he doesn't like the fact you have to open up another application instead of just playing it from the menu.
The one that lets Batman get away.
Oh no. You have to push a couple of buttons instead of one. I don't know. Anyway, complaining about non-functional buttons on the home screen. First off, almost all of them except for one of the things he's complaining about have been resolved, because he wrote this article, was it a day after thing released? I mean, yeah, a day after the thing released. Which there's always hiccups in release, so it's one of those things to suck up. But non-functional buttons on the home screen. There's one, Nintendo TV, which has been delayed to sometime this month, which is, you know, it's a sad thing. We were all looking forward to seeing how Nintendo did this Nintendo TV thing that they've been talking up. But because that doesn't work, you hate the console? I mean, I'm sorry, I can wait.
Not one little bit.
I mean, within a week, they had YouTube, Amazon Prime, Hulu Plus, Netflix. They had all those things up and ready to go. They're up now.
Where do you think he
Okay,
went?
so you're short one more reason to hate the system. He complains that the resistive touchscreen is not great for fingers because it requires you to press it a little harder than you're used to with all of your other, you know, smartphones, iPads and such.
Who will win?
I've not had a problem. I have a screen protector on mine, and I've not had a problem with that whatsoever. The only problem I've ever had was trying to scroll through posts on Miiverse, and I was pressing in the center of the screen instead of on the side, and so instead of scrolling, I clicked on somebody else's and went to their profile. That's my own fault. So I don't see what he's complaining about with that, because again, I've not had that problem. And I don't know who else has had that problem. So I don't know. And then he says that Miiverse is just plain confusing. Again, not true. What he's actually talking about is, because it's not even a good heading, it's misleading. He's talking about setting up Miiverse, because you have to set up your friends list before you can, you know, add friends. Go figure. And this is admittedly the one thing he said that I agree with the most. I don't see it as a reason to hate it, I see it as a little annoying though. And that's the fact that it tells you that you have to set up your friends list before you do anything. But it doesn't tell you how to get to your friends list. And so you have to look around a little bit. The thing is, on the gamepad there is a home button. As soon as you push that home button, you see the button, the screen pops up, and you see friends list on, if it's not the far left icon, it's the one right next to it, I think. I'm not looking at my gamepad, so I'm guessing. But it's right there it's right there. You click it, you click set up friends list, and you're done. That's literally all it takes. So just because, admittedly, it was a little difficult to find. I did spend a little bit of time looking for it and having trouble finding it. But quite honestly, it's not that big of a deal. Was it annoying? Yes. Is it done now? Yes. Do I ever have to worry about it again? No. Okay, so setting up my system is takes a little more time than I would have liked. That's fine. I don't hate my system because it took me a little longer than I planned on to set it up. I love my system because it plays the games that I bought it for and it plays them great. Netflix works wonderfully except for when my internet, not my system, but my internet decides it's going to act funny. And sadly, YouTube is as slow as ever. So again, it'd be one thing if he had legitimate complaints about the system itself, but a lot of the things he had were issues with setup, and then him being what's the best way to put this? Him being wrong about what things were going to do. And I'm like, I can't blame Nintendo if I'm wrong about what the system is going to do. I can't blame it if it's not exactly what I expected it to be, because I embellished in my mind what was going to happen. But quite frankly, for me, this system has met and exceeded expectations. Okay, not exceeded because I had high expectations, but this thing has certainly met my expectations of being a great system that plays well, and quite frankly has quelled a lot of my fears revolving around the gamepad, because I thought it was going to be really awkward to use. And that's not even one thing he pointed to, was the fact that a lot of people say the gamepad has a bit of a learning curve. Yeah, okay, that's a little difficult, especially since, you know, there's basically an industry standard set right now as to how to use, about what controllers look like. They all look the same anymore. We all know that. We all know it.
Make me hurt you.
But even still, like, okay, we have a new controller. So, I mean, again, look at the evolution of Nintendo's controllers, and it's just one of those things. You get used to the fact that they keep changing, and they're different. but they all work. I mean, quite frankly, the GameCube controller was the greatest controller ever, and I'm counting
You looking for me?
the controller for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation's controller. I'm sorry, I prefer my GameCube controller to anything else. But again, wasn't one that he pointed to, even though I think that would have been more valid than a few of these, especially his complaints about Netflix. Nevertheless, I'm tired of ranting. Just honestly, if you have a Wii U and you see a real reason why people should hate this system like this guy is saying, I want to hear about it, because I'm curious as to who out there has legitimate reasons why they are confused, upset, have problems with the Wii U. Because quite honestly, as I'm looking at it, I haven't experienced any real problems, or any problems for that matter. So I don't know. In the comments below, tell me something about the Wii U that has you know, a little upset, a little discouraged, or why you love this system if you're one of those. So anyway, now that rant is done, this has been Obi-Wan362, and I will see you guys next time.
You're going down.
Arkham City is gonna burn. You're gonna die tonight. This is gonna hurt, Pat. We'll make sure this hurts you.